We are now live. This is Dre all day coming to y'all. What's today? Tuesday, December 31st, 2019. Tuesday, December 31st. This is the last live stream of 2019. Fireworks is going to be popping off back here in about 2.5 hours. People start the fireworks a little bit before midnight. But anyway, we starting the fireworks right now. I just want to come to y'all with one last live stream for the new year. Adam Murphy was good. Happy New Year to you as well. Belize City, what's going on? Shout out to everybody who's coming in. Tell me your name and location as you are checking in, wherever you're checking in from, wherever you're at right now. I've already seen some fireworks popping, but they might pop, but they're going to, you just saw that right there while we're doing this live stream. So I'm doing this on the 31st. If you happen to be watching this on replay or watching this on YouTube, if you have questions, I will address them at the end, so you can go ahead and post them, keep them short, get to the point. And what we're going to talk about right now, we're going to talk about working from the inside out, because when we go into a new year, usually this is a time when many people set New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. Brito 95, what's good? As y'all come in, tell me your name and location, I'll acknowledge you. I am a former 9-year professional basketball player and an author now of 25 books. I've done 4 TED Talks. I've created more content online than any human being in the history of the internet. So I'll just leave it at that. My business is called Work on Your Game Incorporated. It's a framework that incorporates, the main thing is mental toughness, which is a combination of discipline, confidence, personal initiative, and making things happen in your life instead of just waiting for things to happen. That's what I do. So those of y'all who don't know me, that's what I do, and I do a whole lot of things under the umbrella of what I just explained. But now to the point that I want to talk about. Going into a new year, people want to create resolutions. All right, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do this thing differently. This is going to happen. I'm going to do these things. I'm going to change this, change that. And people got this whole list of things that they're going to do, or these new actions that they're going to take. But I want y'all to understand, though, is that when it comes to making change in life, change always starts from the inside. It starts on the inside, and then everything is reflected on the outside. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you're an accountant, if you're some type of business strategist, if you're an athlete, if you create content on the internet, if you write books, if you're a school teacher, if you don't even have a job right now and you don't even know what you're doing. All of these things start on the inside and they work their way to the outside. So whatever change you want to see manifested on the outside in your life, it first has to be created on the inside. So what you need to do is ask yourself, what do I need to change? What's the one most important thing that I need to change about myself internally that then will reflect externally? Because here's the thing. The whole principle in life of succeeding is called the be, do, have principle, meaning you become a certain type of person first, then you do certain actions second, then you get the results, you have the results third. The challenge that many people have in life is that they do their whole lives going do and have, but they never take the first step, which is the being part, which means people try all these different strategies, they get all these different techniques and tactics, and they're reading books and going to seminars and taking little things they see other people doing or something they heard somebody else say, and they're doing all these different things, trying to change their results, yet they never fix the being part. Therefore, no matter what they do, they never get the type of outcome that they want. This is what the be, do, have principle is about, and this is why a lot of people, even though they had the right techniques, they might have all the strategies, they might read all the books, take all the courses, get all the things that they could be doing. They got a whole list of things to do, all these different ways that they could do things differently, yet they don't have a list of ways that they need to be different. They don't do anything to change their mindset, what's going on in their mind, their confidence, their discipline, their mental toughness, the way that they're approaching life, their aura, their energy, their appearance, the impression that other people have of them, the energy that people feel from them when they walk into a room. Those things, when you get them in the right space, when that's all aligned the way that it needs to be, the actions that you take will automatically produce the results that you want. Think about a time in your life when you really got into a frame of mind and like you were really focused, or you were really confident, or you were really determined, and you were like, I absolutely have to make this happen. I'm absolutely going to do this thing. When you get yourself into that frame of mind, the actions that you need to take, you don't need a list of strategies. You don't need somebody to coach you and tell you exactly what to do. You don't need any of those things. The actions will come automatically because you're already feeling the energy. Your actions will emanate from within you. This is the key thing that changes people's lives. This is the key thing that changes the results that people are getting. It's not that they all of a sudden got this new strategy. Oh man, I got this brand new strategy and then everything in life just changed for me. How often do you hear anybody say that? And if somebody does say that, they're usually lying. They're not lying to you, but they don't quite understand how they created change. What really makes the difference between a person who's doing all this stuff but they're not getting results, and a person who's doing stuff and they are getting results, is the first step, the being part, the energy part, the thinking, feeling, the aura that they have, the way that they're approaching life, the way that they see themselves when they look in the mirror, the way they see life when they look out the window. That's the thing that changes people's lives. So what you need to think about as you head into 2020, and maybe you're already there depending on where you are in the world, who do I need to be? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. Who do I need to be? What type of person do I need to become? How do I need to change the way that I'm conducting myself, the way that I see myself, the way that what I'm demanding of myself, what I'm asking of myself, how I'm holding myself accountable? When you change your internal state, saw some fireworks popping off right there. When your internal state changes, the external actions will automatically follow. If you could just get that, you don't need any more strategies. You don't need any more tactics. You don't need to copy what 20 other people are doing. All you need to do is fix that being part. And that's what I do. So this whole work on your game, this whole philosophy that I talk about every day is really about changing what's going on the inside. And if you listen to stuff that I talk about here on my stories, stuff that I post on my feed, the stuff I talk about on my podcast, my audio experience, the Y'all Call podcast, the masterclass on YouTube, and my books, is all about what's going on in here. When this is changed, everything else changes on its own. All right, you don't have to worry about it. It will do it by itself. So if I can stress one thing to you, that's the thing. I've stressed that for the last 15 years. I'm stressing it today, and I'm going to be stressing it for the next 15 years, God willing, as long as I'm allowed to share that message. So that being said, if you do not yet have this book, The Mirror of Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline, you can get this book for free by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. It is the link in my, there it is. It is the link in my Instagram bio, and it is, I probably have posted it in my story. If not, it's a link in my bio, mirrorofmotivation.com. Get this book free. All you got to do is tell me where to ship it. We're shipping it worldwide, and then you can have the fireworks popping off in your life the same way you see the fireworks popping off out here in Miami, popping off in your mind, then they're going to pop off in your life. So anybody got questions, I'm going to go ahead and take questions right now. So I'm scrolling through, see if anybody has posted anything. Live Strong said, I got a question you probably never got before. Maybe that's true. Somebody sent a request to be in my video. No, you can't be in my video. To be in my video, you got to, I'll probably start charging people to be in my video. So no, that's not happening. Andy91282, Happy New Year to you. It's almost 2020 for a whole lot of people. Gil Scott Heron said the first revolution starts in the mind. Exactly. There are a few people who understand this and they talk about it, but not everybody gets it emotionally. People understand logically everything that I'm saying, but people don't understand it emotionally. When you understand it emotionally, then you'll start acting on it. People understand things logically. They're like, yeah, I get it, I understand, it makes sense. They retweet it, they like it, and all that stuff. But when you really understand it emotionally, you start living it. There's a difference between liking something and living it. There's two different things. Adam said, Dre Speaking the Truth talks about this in the mental workbook. Absolutely. Highly recommend you get that book. Yes, the mental workbook is a huge book when it comes to changing what's going on in here. That's what I wrote the book for you to actually, there's actually a strategy to changing what's going on in your mind. That's the mental workbook. And as a matter of fact, if you get the Bulletproof Mindset 2.0 offer that I have out right now, that's a course with a whole bunch of extras. You get the mental workbook as one of the bonuses if you didn't know. All right, let me see if I got any questions here. I'm not sure I got any questions. If I do, I'm going to answer them right now. And the Dolce is in the live stream. Live Strong says, what do you think is more valuable, investing in the short term, daily change, or for the long term? Well, it's a combination of both. I mean, why would you do something for the short term that's not going to pay off in the long term? That's not a good investment. It's an investment, but it's a bad investment. Any good investment is not only going to, it may not help you so much today, it may be a longer play, like delayed gratification is what we call that. You do something now, you put in effort now, you invest now, you don't really get anything back today, but it pays you back in the future. So everything you do, you should be looking at what's going to pay me back in the future, not just what's going to pay me back today. Because instant gratification is how most people end up failing in life, because they don't have the discipline to do something for long enough to get a long-term result. So what you are looking for is long-term results. Of course, you may have to do things in the short term that are going to pay you off. And actually, I recorded something today that's going to be coming out in the Work on Your Game audio experience that y'all can listen to on the podcast app, SoundCloud, Spotify, all those, where I talk about that. long-term versus short-term. The people who become successful in life are always making long-term investments. They're not thinking short-term. You might do something for the short-term because you need to do what you got to do, but in the long-term is really where they make their most important investments. Saleh checking in from Jordan. Shout out to Jordan. Molly said he needs to stay consistent. That's his issue. Get the mirror of motivation. Self-guide to self-discipline. That's what you need. The discipline to be consistent and do what you're supposed to do on a consistent basis. That's the one thing that you're missing. Adam says, how do you deal with complacency and feeling like you are too good to put in the extra work? Go find somebody who's better than you, because I guarantee you're not the best in the world at what you do probably. There's somebody who's doing it at a higher level than you. So go find that person, whether it's on the internet, in a book, or in person. Look at what they're doing, and you can see that there's a higher level to what you're doing. And also, if that's one way of doing it. Another way is understanding that it's not really about what anybody else is doing. You can also just look at yourself and say, what is my highest possible standard? I heard Tony Robbins say that Michael Jordan said the reason why he was able to be so great is not because he was comparing himself to other basketball players, because he was comparing himself to what his best was. He was always striving to be his personal best, which he knew there was always a higher level to how good he could be, which is why he kept winning. Even though he had already won, he didn't have anything to prove, so to speak. He still kept proving things because he was pushing himself to a higher level to reach his potential. It wasn't about anybody else's or relative to what anybody else had done. That's why he kept winning even though he had already won. And that's why a lot of people win, but they can't keep winning because they're not pushing themselves to where they could be. They're looking at what everybody else is doing. And if you're better than everybody else, then it's hard to push yourself. It's easy to get complacent if you're looking at everyone else, but you got to look at yourself. Kevin said, if I want to play college at age 28 or 29, am I being delusional or persevering? No, it's not delusional. I mean, there are people who've done it. You just need to get the information and then see what you can do, see where you can go. So you're not being either. You just need to figure out where you can do it. You need some strategy. So you need to go look that stuff up and figure out where you can get things done. ARB14, Happy New Year's to you. Alex Savachka, what up? What's going on? Happy New Year. Kayvon says, how do you know if you're close to succeed or being delusional? Where's the line? I talked about that already. I talked about that on the Work on Your Game podcast. So you need to go look up that episode where I talked about that. ARB says, when you're apologizing about the basketball tutorial videos, or are you referring to hoop handbooks as well? No. Hoop handbooks, I was not referring to those as well. The hoop handbooks are designed specifically to show you how to work on the skills that will get you the game abilities that I talk about. And in the hoop handbooks, I explain exactly how that's done. So no, I was not talking about the hoop handbooks. I said I feel like Dre Baldwin. Yeah, I remember that song from back in the day. Saleh says, talking about talent, Will Smith said he doesn't really consider himself talented. That's fine. I mean, it makes sense that he doesn't consider himself talented. Otherwise, nobody will listen to his message. All right? Nobody will listen when he talks about hard work if he said, well, I'm talented. That's the reason why I'm such a successful actor. Listen, Will Smith is talented, but he also works hard. Listen, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you got both. I'm talented, but I also work hard. A lot of people just don't want to admit the talent part because they think it waters down their message of effort and showing up and all that. So Will Smith is one of many talented actors. There are a lot of talented people out there. It's just that he also has done some work. He's had some luck. All of those things factor in, but people don't want to admit that sometimes things outside of their actions have created their success because they feel like it takes away from what they've achieved. And I've explained this many times. Every super talented person who becomes famous is all going to tell you that they don't feel like they're talented. All right, so that's Kobe said it, Will Smith, Michael Jordan. Anybody who's talented is going to tell you they're not talented, but they are talented. I'm saying, I'm qualified to say it. Chirac Assassin, how do you avoid comparing yourself with others? I don't think I can coexist with people without taking their heads off. You don't have to avoid it. You can do it. If you want to do it, go ahead and do it. Nobody said there's anything wrong with it. Just understand that your standard is not really about them. Your standard is about you. And if you happen to be beating other people and competing with them at the same time as reaching your standard, so be it. Kill two birds with one stone. There's nothing wrong with it. Molly said, you were right about the level of competition on ball. Play against a D-League player. He was tough. Yeah, he should be. Liv Strong says, what's your take on Will Smith said about being fully committed to one thing and not a backup plan? I talked about that in my book, Work on Your Game. Plan A over everything. That's a whole chapter in the book, or a whole section in one of the chapters on the book about Plan A over everything. I talked about that years ago. Wrote about it in my book, Work on Your Game, which came out in February 2019. So that's not a new concept to me. Yeah, I just answered that. All right, What else we got? Kayvon says, it's okay to do a well-paid job you hate in order to be on your 2 feet and have financial freedom for future projects. Gary V and people says you should choose happiness and do what you love. All right, well, first of all, several parts of that. First of all, the answer to your initial question is yes. I mean, everybody got to eat, right? We all need food, clothing, and shelter. So you got to do what you got to do to eat. So if that means, if you're a person who, you know, you really want to be an entrepreneur, or is a certain type of business you want to do, but it's not giving you the money yet, and you got to do some other things to put money in your pocket, yo, do what you got to do, because everybody got to eat, you know. And then you can invest. Take the money that you got, whatever's extra, and you invest that into doing what you want to do on the side. Everybody has to work their way up to that. Even though social media, people like to show you that they like to, like to project the image that they just made it and everything's just easy and perfect. It's not like that. Everybody has to go through a grind. Everybody has to go through a hustle. I went through plenty of grind and hustle and trying to get on playing ball and trying to get on in business. And still to this day, I still go through grind and hustle trying to build my business. So absolutely do what you need to do to make sure that you can eat. And then when you get in a position to do what you got to do for your future projects, you do it. As far as what Gary V says, I mean, Gary V's not the first person to say something like that, but listen, you could be a fan of Gary V or Will Smith or Kobe or me or whoever. Just because a famous person who has the trappings of success says something doesn't mean that it all applies specifically to you exactly as they said it. Like Gary V's telling you what makes sense to him, but it might not. That doesn't mean it applies to all 100,000 people who hear his message. Everything that he says is not applied directly to you. So you got to take what another person says, whether it's me or anyone else, and ask yourself, how does this information fit into who I am as a person? For example, I talk a lot about my experiences as a basketball player and how they relate to life. I can talk about that because I've lived it, but you might not even be a basketball player. So how can you take my message and make it work for you? You got to ask yourself, how can I take what Dre learned in basketball and his analogies from sports? How can I apply it to being a school teacher or a lawyer or an accountant? You can do that, but it requires a little bit of thinking. So don't just take whatever message you hear from somebody online or some famous person and just think that you need to do exactly what they say just because they said it. Because at the same time, they'll probably say things that contradict each other if they talk enough. Like me. I said plenty of things that are direct contradictions to each other, but they apply in different spaces for different people in different contexts. So that is where your thought process has to come in so you understand what works and what doesn't for you. He said, you should chase happiness and do what you love. Yeah, it's cool to chase happiness and do what you love, but it's also cool to eat. It's also cool to pay your bills. It's also cool to have gas in your car. So if you can combine those and do both, excellent. If there's a period in your life when you need to do one to serve the other, that's excellent too. That's just the way that it works in life. Everybody's life is not all peaches and cream and perfect all the time. Like Gary V probably went through a lot of grind and struggle and hustle where he couldn't just do what he loved for a long time. But it was before he was putting videos on the internet, so he doesn't talk about that now, but he went through that period just like everybody else does. So hopefully that answers your question. RB says, I'm about to get the time control course soon. Need to manage my time better. That's what's up. You should do that. Dante FRM was good. I appreciate that. From Toronto. Shout out to Toronto. Molly says, how do I stop feeling embarrassed about playing ball too late? Read the Super U or the Bulletproof Bundle. You can get all 4 books as part of the Bulletproof Bundle. Super U, Mirror Motivation Mental Handbook, and 100 Mental Game Best Practices. My book on confidence, the Super U, will help you about any problems with embarrassment. And also my book, Work on Your Game, I talked about that. Dante says, opinions on gang shits. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know nothing about no gangs. I ain't never been in one, so you got to be more specific. ARB says, what I think about Gilbert Arenas saying Kobe accomplished more than MJ with a lot less. I've heard Gilbert Arenas' opinions. He's entertaining, but I can't just go respond to every opinion that somebody puts out there. So Gilbert has his opinion, and he's entitled to it, and that's fine. We'll just leave it at that. How do you avoid being self-centered? Everybody's self-centered, so you can't avoid it. Dante, I appreciate that. How do you find a balance between hustling every day and not missing creating memories, etc. with loved ones? You just got to decide. Simple as that. I mean, we all got, as the saying goes, everybody has 24 hours in a day. So you got to do what you're going to do with your 24 hours. You decide that you're going to have time for family, have time for business, have time for the hustle, have time for XYZ, whatever you want to do. If you decide that you'll have time for it, you'll make time for it. As the saying goes, everybody got 24 hours. Will said, what's the point of being realistic if Thomas Edison thought realistic? Yeah, exactly. We get it. I'm 6'4". Is my height. Somebody asked me that. What I think about selling drugs, I think that's over. The drug dealing game's over. Don't sell drugs in 2020. Anybody who is selling drugs or thinking about it, don't do it. These days, first of all, everybody got a phone. There's cameras everywhere. And I had a friend of mine who did some time in jail for. He said he had got arrested for money laundering. I said, how'd you get caught? He said somebody snitched on me. He said the cops don't even have to work no more because people are telling. So don't do drugs, don't sell drugs, don't do drugs, and don't sell drugs in 2020. The drug dealing game is over. Don't do anything illegal that you gotta do out in public because there's way too many people who can see you, way too many people snitching. Everybody has a camera. There's cameras on buildings. Everything's under surveillance. No illegal activity. Don't do nothing illegal. You basically asking yourself to go to jail. Don't do that. Kayvon said, I just want to say thank you for answering my questions. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. I appreciate the question. Do I still do meetups? I'm coming to Miami this summer, been a fan since 2012. We'll see. I may do some meetups in the future, but I don't know. Somebody said, do I know about 44 gang? No, I don't know shit about no gang. Don't be in a gang, man. The cops is looking for y'all. Don't do that. Somebody said there's informants all over the place. Listen, everybody's an informant. All right? Anybody with an Instagram account is a potential informant. How many people got Instagram? Everybody in your block got Instagram and Facebook and a phone. If somebody got a phone, I mean they got a camera, which means they can record you and take a picture of you and snitch on you without even knowing they're snitching on you. Don't do that. Nothing illegal in 2020, trust me, unless you're trying to give up your freedom. All right, that's it. All right, everybody, look. We out of here. Everybody have a happy 2020. Go watch the fireworks, watch the ball drop on TV, go to your party, do what you got to do. It's 9:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a great 2020. I will talk to y'all all soon. Oh yeah, get the book, The Mirror of Motivation, Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. Go to mirrormotivation.com. There's a link in my bio. Happy 2020, Happy New Year. Work on your game, Dre, all day.